In my Halo video from a few months ago, I kind of made it clear that Halo 1 is really special to me, and I said I wanted to discuss the series a bit further in the future. Well, Microsoft just released Halo Infinite's first gameplay demo, and I've got some things to say. Some positives, some undecided opinions, and a fair bit of concern as well. Now, before we jump into the demo footage, I wanted to lay out where I'm coming from and what I want from this game. I preferred Halo 1 through Reach, so the Bungie games. I didn't like Halo 4 or 5 that much, and that's for 4 major reasons. Number 1, art style changes. Halo 1 through 3 had a clear James Cameron's Aliens influence. The look of the Space Marines, of their guns, and the 80s retro futuristic tech that was seen all throughout the ships. The Forerunners, on the other hand, had haunting brutalist architecture, which made them seem unknowable and overwhelming. Halo 4 and 5 moved away from this. They replaced the concrete dark structures of the original trilogy to more shiny metallic structures with way more lights, and it made the atmosphere feel less creepy and less haunting, and as a whole it just looked like any other generic alien structure. And you can just tell the difference between the styles when you flip between Halo 1's original graphics and the anniversary graphics. Number 2. Level design. Halo 1 had large sandbox levels that the rest of the series never truly recreated outside of the likes of spin-offs like Reach and ODST. However, Halo 4 and 5 were by far the most narrow and hallway-esque of the series. Fair to say, I wasn't a fan. Number 3. Story. Halo 1 through Reach didn't have amazing stories. However, they kept it simple and easy to follow. I could understand what was going on, and in the case of Chief's games, we had some cool side characters like Sergeant Johnson and the Arbiter. They were likable and very enjoyable to have as company. Halo 4 and 5 became extremely self-indulgent and started telling these needlessly complex narratives that used a ton of in-lore jargon that only people with knowledge of the extended lore and universe could understand. I didn't know half of what was going on. I didn't know half of what the jargon meant. And honestly, I didn't want to go looking for the definition either. Also, the characters were so annoying and dislikable, I don't know how they managed to screw that part up so bad.
What are they, vegetables or fruit? And what does that make, ketchup?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
So yeah, those are the 3 major issues I have with Halo currently. The 4th one is multiplayer, but that's not relevant for this demo, so let's just move ahead and get straight to the demo. Alright, so before I begin, I'm going to be skipping through parts of the demo, so if you haven't seen it yet, I'd say go and watch it because you won't see the whole thing here. Also, I'm trying a new method for audio recording, so the sound might be a little different, so apologies if it doesn't come out as it should. But yeah, thanks. My first comment is a good way to start a demo is always just get straight to the point, so I like that they just took us straight to a start screen. The demo starts with this cutscene where we see Chief and this pilot, who we've seen before in a previous trailer. And as a whole, I'll say that as far as my concerns for the story go, I think this is the one aspect of the story I'm actually liking. The dynamic between Chief and this pilot. And the reason I say that is because we've seen regular people interact with Chief before. But usually whenever Chief shows up, it's like everybody gets excited and like everybody's morale goes up because Chief's here to save the day. But this is the first time we're seeing like an average Joe who's like fed up with Chief. It's sort of the way they play off each other. One guy is who we are, you know, he's nothing special about him, and you can see he just wants to go home. He's tired of fighting. And then we have Chief, who's, you know, the ideal like hero figure. You know, he never gives up. He's stoic. He always fights till till he's won. And so I'm kind of liking the way these two characters play off each other. The other thing I'll say is this part of the demo definitely is the best looking part of the demo, because the game doesn't really look as good as it should, in my opinion, and as many people expect it to. But this part here, like, look at Master Chief's armor. One thing I'll say right now is I had the issue with Halo's art style changes, but this armor definitely harkens back to Chief's old style, the one that he had in 2 and 3 specifically, and I'm really liking it because it has the look that the old games did, but they've kept sort of like the increase in mass they sort of gave him in 4 and 5, and overall I think it's the best of both aspects. I like this shot. This scene is the best looking part of this demo. But as we get into the gameplay, I don't think the look of it really compares to what people want and expect. Alright, so when we get to this part of the demo, this is definitely paying homage to the second level of Halo 1, where you exit the drop pod and you enter the Halo ring for the first time. But here's where it falls off real quick. In Halo 1's second level, we get a good couple minutes with no combat, and we get to take in the environment and get this sense of place. But here, he steps out of this this crashed ship, and it's like 5 seconds maybe total before he starts firing at someone, and it just destroys any sense of like taking in the atmosphere. The demo just rushes past that, and if it's trying to sell us on this open world, then give us time to really just take it in and get our minds running about what could possibly be out there. And that as a whole is where this demo just really doesn't do what it's supposed to. Because again, one of the things I want is a large world. And yeah, we see this level, but it never really, this map, sorry, but it never really sells us or gives us enough information about, is this how the entire game is? Is this what, is it large levels, or is this one open world? And I had to learn that through interviews later on, and so this demo just did not do that. Another thing, he marks a place on the map, and then within 5 seconds, he's in combat again. So again, if this world is large and massive, let us take it in. It doesn't do that. Alright, so we see him get into a fight with an elite. I'll pause it right here. I can see that as a whole, the game is making a conscious effort to sort of return to the old art style, because even with this elite model right here, yes, the lighting looks off and the surfaces look kind of flat and plain. The general shape of it though is very much the shape of the Halo 3 elites, and so I see that they're sort of trying to capture that old art style, and I'm happy about that at least. Okay, this is one of my favorite parts of this demo, and we'll see why. Alright, so pay attention to this guy. So I talked about in my video how I love how the Covenant are designed in Halo. How they have so much character, and how the way they play and the way they act gives us a lot of information about who they are and their traits. And so this here is a brute. Brutes are brute-ish. They're tough and dumb. And so of course this guy runs at you, a guy with a gun, not the smartest idea, but he's raw power, so he's gonna try to run you over. But a player shoots his feet and he stumbles, and that just sells us on the characteristics of brutes. I think that's what I like to see in the Covenant designs, and I'm happy about that. I hope that there's more stuff like this going forward, and in fact the demo kind of shows us a little bit more stuff like this later on. Okay, now we come to the main gimmick of this game, which is this grappling hook. I'm not against grappling hooks. Titanfall has a grappling hook that's just perfect. But my issue here is this seems like Halo is just following another trend. And in my opinion, Halo's decline started when it started following trends, because other shooters in the space sort of caught up to Halo, and then the developers of Halo kind of started feeling like we have to stay, like we got to keep up with our competition, where a lot of the competition that Halo had then and even has now, they sort of exist in separate lanes, in my opinion at least. So I'm just worried that this is just going to be gimmicky, like all the other extra gimmicks they added in the previous games. But I'm gonna play the game before I pass judgment on this. Okay, this is where I'd say a lot of the visual problems sort of come to the forefront. So pay attention here. I'm gonna pause it. Right there. Did you guys catch all that popping? Like, that shouldn't be happening in a game that's trying to sell you on its scale. Popping like that was so jarring. Also, I know that far off distance objects shouldn't look as good as close-up objects. They just won't. That's just how normal rendering is done. But these rocks right here do not look good. And these trees, everything basically just looks so low resolution. And the lighting, although I like the color representation in this game, right? It's less shiny than it was in 4 and 5. The lighting does not look good. And as a whole, like, I 100% understand people's issues with how this game looks, and to a certain extent I agree. Yeah, that's definitely something that needs to look better. I do like all the animals running around the level. I hope that they are systemic instead of just like scripted. Okay, I like the old Jackal design. The old Jackal design is from Halo 1, I think. And I love this. So brutes can launch suicide grunts at you. I think that's excellent. That's so cool. Because it's just all that character that I love about the Covenant is just showing up again. It's like the different races using each other's weaknesses and strengths to work together. And also just grunts these guys that are just like these little comedic like punching bags even more fun to watch. Also the grunts have their Halo 1 designs back. As a whole, that's a trend I'm seeing. I'm happy about that. We're returning to the old art style. I'm fine with that. Okay, so I noticed that every single time he looks at an object and he's close to it, this yellow circle appears. I'm guessing that means he's able to grapple hook to it. I hope that this means we can grapple hook to anything, because I'd like the grapple hook to be a tool that is very much a blank slate. It does one thing, but the game doesn't tell us the way it's supposed to be used, right? That's for us to decide. And as a whole, that's where systemic gameplay is good, and that's where emergent gameplay is born. So here we grapple up. Here comes a new thing that's in this game. So with the grappling hook, we're allowed to pick up items by the look of it. I hope we're allowed to pick up any item, but I don't think that's how it is. I think we're only allowed to pick up specific items. In this case, a fusion claw, which I'm guessing is like a red barrel. Okay, so we see that we're able to throw this object and make this turret's shields explode. But let's look at this explosion again. All right, because I think this is one of the weakest looking explosions I've ever seen. The effect right here does not look good. The impact, even with the sound effects, did not sound all that explosive. And honestly, when I saw this happen, I think that in another game this would have made me excited because of all the gameplay possibilities this has, but just it didn't feel satisfying. And that's kind of strange, because otherwise I feel like the music and the sound effects in this game are excellent. I feel like they're really a step up. Well, maybe not the music. The music is great. I don't know if it's a step up. Halo's always had kind of really good music, but you know. By the way, the concerns over the graphics, one thing that did catch my eye was the texture of this rock. I think this rock is pretty well textured, which makes me think that the game could look good. It's just that the way it's choosing the resolution for its textures and their quality, and then the lighting specifically, the lighting have a big thing to do with this game looking flat and looking low detailed. But this rock here doesn't save the way this game looks. So then we just see a bunch of Halo combat. And again, this returns me to my point where this demo didn't emphasize the aspects that were supposed to be the new selling points of this game enough, because everybody and their mom knows Halo's combat is good. That's not the thing people were worried about, right? Even the Halo games that people dislike generally have pretty good combat. This isn't what I needed to be sold on. This was something that I kind of expected anyways, and that's where I think this demo's gameplay presentation really fell apart. It doesn't let us see the part of the game that's the new talking point, right? Okay, so now we're coming up to the end of the demo. And this is like a counterbalance to the compliments I had for the cutscene that opened this demo between the pilot and Chief. Now, I like that because it was simple and it didn't require any in-lore explanation of various terms and concepts to really understand what makes it work, right? And this seems to be the exact opposite of that, because we get introduced to this new villain that I guess they're trying to make us excited about or intimidated by, but as a whole, we've seen brutes since Halo 2. We don't know what's so special about this guy, and then he starts bringing up terms like the Banished, the Harbingers, and some dude named Atriox, which I have no idea who they are, and I'm guessing there are people that would get excited, but they're probably the most hardcore that watch and know all the lore of this series inside and out, and that's exactly the opposite of what I want from the storytelling of this game, because that's what plagued Halo 4 and 5 and turned me off from the series. One small thing, and this really annoys me. We're gonna back it up here a couple of seconds because I want you guys to focus on this guy's shoulder. It looks like he has like in PlayStation 1 when they used to just have separate polygons for the shoulders and they would just attach them and you could see where the shoulder polygons kind of ended whenever the characters would move their arms. That's exactly how his arms look. How is this a thing? Like, for real, how is this happening? Look at it. It's so poorly done. Oh my god. Like, look at it. Alright, I'm gonna skip this because this guy doesn't know any sense of personal space. We're just gonna skip it to the end. So, what did I think overall? I don't think this was a good demo. Not just for what I wanted, but as a general sales marketing thing. This didn't get anyone excited. The game didn't look that good. They built up to it so much. They announced the game like 2 years ago, and they didn't show any gameplay until now. So people, of course, are going to have these high expectations, especially with all the posters and stuff they've been putting on their social medias. So I don't like this demo. Did it meet my criteria, or the 3 things I wanted? The original art style? Yeah, it's I can see the return, so I'm happy about that. And I do like the aesthetic it's trying to go for. I just don't think it's achieving its potential. Number 2, the wider level design. So here I'm just taking them on their word, because there's nothing in this demo that showed me level design that is bigger than what we've seen before. The only thing I have to go on is a world map, but that really doesn't let me know anything about the possibilities and the potential there, because scale doesn't automatically equal good either. I was hoping for them to sort of give us examples to get our imaginations running to see like what else could be out there, but this was basically all combat from the very start. And the last thing, I wanted a simple story. Here I'd give it like a half a point. I want to see the pilot and Chief's relationship play out, but that bad guy at the end, whoever he is, I don't care, dude. So as a whole, this demo fulfilled 1.5 out of the 3 requests I had. In that regard, I think that's like 50%. Kind of failed, but I'm hopeful. I want this game to succeed, and I hope it does. But the only way we'll know is when we play it. So I look forward to that.